Hey guys, Chris Murphy here, and what I've got today is a great talk from Ryan Pinnick. I rewatched this a few days ago and took so much away. And Ryan talks a lot about we all have our own inner genius inside us and how we want to best help get that inner genius out. He's got so many different examples and techniques and tips from doing this training for so many years. It was really inspirational. It was one of my favorite talks I think I had on my platform. And he talks a lot about how we want to be using this tension of staying in fear and frustration and putting that into something very useful and meaningful in our lives. And if we don't know what we want to do in our lives, he gives so many valuable tips away. And he recommends that we all stay in this kind of this like innocence, this like childlike innocence, curiosity, to really be able to find out what we want. And he talks a lot about our ego and our subconscious and how we want to be going into our superconscious mind, you know, and unleashing the genius. So although we are driven very much from our thoughts and our feelings, how we can rise above it. And we know that we're better deep down. So I hope you enjoyed this talk, guys. It's really valuable stuff, and it's quite a long video. I wanted to cut it down into some tips, but I rewatched it again. And there was just so much value in it. I really didn't know where to edit it and stop it. And so, you know, do watch it the whole way. And, you know, I highly recommend you will learn a lot from this. So check it out.
Really appreciate the opportunity. I don't normally speak at other people's events. Truly, you can check it out. I just had a really good feeling about Chris, and my girlfriend said, "Why are you doing this thing?" And I went, "I don't know. I've just had a good feeling, and I'm going to go check it out, and it's going to be good fun." And so, you know, I want to thank you for the opportunity. But I'm going to stop there now because we've got a short amount of time. So enough about Chris. So I'm a failed comedian, by the way. So, I've just proved that. Well, I was just chatting with Chris now before we got started, and I know what Chris is trying to create here is a community of people. And do you know what? My whole thing is that we all have a genius. We all have unique talents and gifts that when you tap into that, you can literally create regardless of how much time or money you've got. That's my experience. We should actually have a sing-a-thon. What do you think? Anyone got some heavy metal? We could have a sing-a-thon. And community is a very important part of that. And so what Chris is creating here is very respectful and honorable and can actually be a massive contributing factor if you continue participating in your journey, because you can't do this on your own. I've created literally everything I want in my life, and I'm not saying that to brag, but I'm saying that because I'm literally no one special. I'm a guy who grew up in a really poor household as far as Western world is concerned. My dad was a violent, abusive, alcoholic man. You know, I was reasonably clever at school. You know, I was short, whatever. I was just an average dude, and I still am. But the community that I've hung out in have pushed me and reflected back stuff to me that perhaps I didn't want to hear at times. And so I really encourage you to get involved with what Chris is doing and to come back and, you know, give him feedback and go, Ryan was a shit speaker, like, what was he about? Like, get someone decent in, or, you know, whatever. And you're going to meet some friends, I'm sure, and you're going to get the best use of this by nurturing it on a continuous basis. So that's my pitch for Chris, which he didn't ask me to do, but I think is important. And it's honest. Like, I'm here because of the great friends I've got along my journey, you know. So the thing about our genius is that we all have natural talents. So for example, when I was at school, I actually did sports reports. I stood up and I did school announcements, and I was a public speaker, basically. No one taught that to me. You know, we learned math, science, biology, English, and all dissecting frogs and all that stuff that's really useful in our adult life. And not one of my teachers said, "Hey, Brian, have you considered speaking as a career?" I went off, studied electrical engineering. Oh, you're looking at your hair. I thought you were taking a picture. Oh. Next time. And so I studied electrical engineering based on a rational decision-making process, based on what my family said, based on what the South African government said would be a good job or career path to take based on the economy. I mean, that's how I based my destiny on, right? You guys can relate to that. And really, the most stressful period of my life, and I've had many, was my final year at school because I had no idea what I wanted to do. I was just so, like, I was like, okay, I did my homework, I've done everything you've asked me to do, now what? And so, cut a long story short, because of our time, I was successful in the corporate world here in London. I was working in London, in the city, studying audiovisual equipment and video conferencing stuff, and it was cool, and I made some good money, and I was 24, 25, and I had a mobile phone, which was pretty awesome back then. And you know, I had a car and a laptop, and it was like pretty cool. And but I was really unhappy. You know, I was really unhappy with myself, and the way I got rid of that was through alcohol, cocaine, drugs. It was, you know, a very fun period of my life, actually, if I think about it now. But the reason I got into that sort of drug addiction that I had and that alcohol addiction was I was just unhappy with my life. And luckily, like I was chatting with Chris now, we had this weird person in our company who had like a tree and, you know, essence and stuff on her desk. And when everyone else used to ridicule her, I thought she was interesting. My curiosity led me to her. And I would chat with her at lunchtime, and she'd have these like vegan sandwiches, and I was like, what the fuck is vegan? You know, I can not eat meat, you know. In South Africa, vegan is an extra helping of salad with your steak. Like in South Africa, everyone eats meat, you know. And so I got to a point where I was very desperate with my addiction, and I was very open with her. I was so desperate, I actually said to her, look, I'm going to die of cocaine addiction because I've got a rare heart condition, and I would end up in hospital ODing on coke, not doing lots of coke, but actually my heart was getting out of shape. And so she took me to my first seminar, and I was like, wow, you can walk on fire, you can walk on glass, you can jump out of planes, and I did all this crazy stuff, and it was cool. But here's the thing, right? What I found, and look, I do teach seminars, and so I'm not undermining anyone. I still found in that journey that I didn't quite find my thing that I was really passionate about. I quit my job, I got into property, I was very successful. I ended up speaking for a company called Rich Dad, and did that for 4 years. But still, I had this unfulfillment in my soul, if you want to call it that. I don't know if anyone can relate to that. And so even though I'd come off the addiction, I still had the problem. And I got a bit frustrated with seminars. I did all these things that people were telling me to do, and I was like, where's the magic, you know? And eventually got introduced to what I teach now is super consciousness or genius. And what that is about essentially is the fact that my belief is that our purpose in life is to create what we love, basically. That could be a relationship, that could be your career. If you're an artist, that could be a painting. If you're an entrepreneur, that could be a great business. If you're a humanitarian, that could be a fantastic cause that serves your local community. If your genius is to be a parent, maybe you create a beautiful little family. You know, we're here to create. That's what my belief is. And that's where I found the most fulfillment, is when I've created something that I really care about. But what I also found is that we create anyway. In fact, we create unconsciously. And we create based on our thoughts and feelings. So just out of interest here, who makes decisions based on their thoughts and feelings? Can I see by show of hands? Cool. Okay, let's see. So this means you are going to buy us drinks at the end of the evening. This means yes. This means you're going to buy us drinks. Okay? And please do participate. You know, we're a small group. I can see who's not participating. It's not like 1,000 people and I can see one person. So get involved. You're at a theme called Get Out Your Comfort Zone. And so let's do that. Right? So just out of interest, who here makes decisions based on their thoughts and feelings? Can I see by show of hands? Right. All our hands should be up because that's what happens. And here's the thing. Think about this for a second. Who can guess, or who wants to tell me where your thoughts and feelings come from?
Subconscious.
Yes, subconscious, cool. Experience. Past. So your past. So hang on a second. So you're relying on your thoughts and feelings to make decisions, but your thoughts and feelings come from your past. So therefore, what are you recreating? The past. Over and over again. Have you noticed maybe in your relationships or your work or your health or something, you know, different guy, same guy. It's a different guy, but he's got the same attributes. A different girl that you're in a relationship, same attributes. Or you create money, you lose money. You create money, you lose money. Or you pick up weight, lose weight, pick up weight, and you go, oh, bugger it, I'm just going to buy a franchise at McDonald's and get fat. Like, cool. Right? You just give up on the weight thing. Who's noticed that you've had a seesaw effect in your life, in your results, or maybe even a stuck effect where you're just completely stuck in one or more areas of your life? Who's noticed that? Thank you. Thanks for the participation, because if you participate, my self-esteem grows, and if the presentation's really good, it's because I've got good self-esteem. If it's really bad, it's because you didn't participate. So if you think the presentation's shit, it's your fault. Okay, so we've established that. That's my stuff. Don't steal it. It's just a bit heavy. Okay, that guy's just moved in. I'm South African. I don't trust anyone. The motherfucker's going to steal my phone. So
But Oscar Pistorius in prison.
we can talk about that during the break. No, that's cool. We were actually going to do business with Oscar. I launched something I'm very passionate about in South Africa, a charity called Inspire South Africa. And he was going to be an ambassador for that. And we decided not to sign him for obvious reasons. So you raise a good point. If you rely on your thoughts and your feelings to make decisions, you're recreating the past. So there's two things here. One, your feelings. Fear, anxiety, excitement, happiness. They're all feelings, right? And they're all projections from our past into this moment in time. If I had more time with you, I could give you a demonstration of that. In fact, do you know what? We'll do it after the break. We'll do it in the second half, where I'll show you, I'll give you an exercise, and I'll show you how you're using the past to recreate the past over and over again, which is keeping you limited. So your genius is unlimited, and if you could hold questions for now, we'll have questions in the second part, because I've got a short amount of time, and I've only had 4 espressos to make sure I get all the content in. See? Failed comedian. So
I'll keep your latte.
I don't drink caffeine. That would absolutely drive me nuts. So what I teach, the tool, the methodology that Chris referred to, is alchemy. And what alchemy is, it's something you can read about in a book. Can I write on here? Cool. I'm going to write the word because people think I'm saying Kabbalah, but that's not the right word. It's the Kabbalion. And the Kabbalion is the basic text of Hermetic philosophy, universal laws. And one of the things they talk about there is turning lead into gold. In other words, turning something you don't want into something you do want. So for example, I teach people how to turn thoughts and feelings into something they do want. Now let me ask you a question, okay? And can we be honest here? We've got a short amount of time. Can you interact with me in an honest and real way? Is that cool?
Yeah.
Great. So please be honest with me here and raise your hand if you don't like tension.
Attention?
No, tension. Any form of tension. If you don't like tension, just raise your hand. Cool. So I am speaking a lot faster than I usually do because I've got a small amount of time and I'm cool with that. So, geniuses love tension. Geniuses love tension because this is a lot more interactive than I'm used to because think about it. What is tension?
It means everything, different things to different people. So what is tension?
Sure, but fundamentally what is it?
Overcoming something.
Overcoming something, stress, sure.
Yeah.
Fundamentally what is it?
It's negative.
It's energy.
That's right. Energy.
And fear, anger, excitement. Do you know what? I've lost more money getting excited about something than when I was fearful. When I was fearful, I was just like this.
That's when you're frozen.
I didn't take action, right? But when I was excited, I was like, oh, fuck, this is an amazing investment. Oh, my God, everyone should get involved. Yeah, woo, yeah. Lost the money. Fuck, right? So you see what I'm talking about? Tension is just energy. And here's where my electrical engineering comes in. Yay, bit of return on my 4 years investment. Imagine transmuting tension you don't want into tension you do want. Ultimately, love, right? Who wants love in their life? Yeah, 2 of you, cool. Right. What you love in your relationships, what you love in your career, a business that you love, a business where your customers love what you do. That's exciting, right? Health and vitality that you love, exercise and fitness that you love. Love is the highest form of consciousness. And what I teach people to do through alchemy is to transform tension they don't want into tension you do want. Hey bro, welcome. So, now we're going to do the speed dating part of this, and you've just arrived on time for that. Welcome to the strippers seminar. You're in the right room. You'll be the first volunteer. Up you come. Right. You know, tension is just energy. And so imagine feeling angry, or imagine being fearful, or imagine feeling some form of tension. And instead of getting rid of it, you utilize it. Imagine now, I've got on my fingers an elastic band. Can you all see it? Mm-hmm. Say yes. Yes, thank you. Okay, let's not mess about here. Come on. Right, so there's an elastic band. So now, if I stretch that distance between my fingers, what happens with the tension in the elastic band if I stretch the distance of my fingers? It increases, hey, the tension.
It didn't break.
No, it's an unbreakable elastic band. It's made in Germany. Right, they don't fuck around there. They make proper elastic bands, you know what I'm saying? So, right, if it was in South Africa, it would break a long time ago. And China. So yes, so the elastic band is stretched really, really far. And obviously, the further the distance in the elastic band, when I let that go, the further the elastic band goes. Yes?
Yes.
So that's what geniuses do. Geniuses create tension so that they can be propelled further in what they're creating. How do we resolve tension in society these days, particularly in England? How do we resolve tension, get rid of it?
Therapy?
Seeing a counselor?
Sorry, therapy.
Therapy, yeah, that's cool.
Picking up a sport or something.
Sport,
Holidays.
holidays. You guys are a very polite and posh group.
Fighting.
Drinking, there you go. Now we're talking. We're in England. Swearing, drugs, nah, yeah, well, you got you in the front here. Sex, drugs, alcohol, all that kind of stuff. Look, that stuff's not bad, particularly if you do it all at the same time. Right? If you're doing sex, drugs, alcohol, meditating with a bit of Jeremy Kyle in the back, fucking awesome. Invite me over, right? I'm in. But my point is, it's not the thing that's bad, because meditating is good, right? I meditate every day. But if you're meditating 24 hours a day and you're wasting your whole life away, you're not actually creating your purpose, that's dysfunctional, isn't it? And so we live in a society where we are trained and conditioned to get rid of tension. But I'm here to tell you that you're a powerful person. There's nothing wrong with you. Period. Full stop. There's nothing you need to do in your life before you can create what you want. There's no conditions you need to meet. You don't need time. You don't need money. You need a clear vision. Right? And so what happens is when you have tension in your life, you create something. For example, Chris asked me, how did you grow your events from, you know, I used to do events like with 2 people. Like, wow, it was me and my mom in that event. That was basically it. It was well attended. I was like, woo, Tony Robbins, watch out, I'm coming. I was going to take over the world. So how did I then go to speaking to 500 people once a month, right, in my business? Well, it was simple. I used my intuition, which is something I teach people to use, intuition and imagination. I compelled a vision that was true to my heart, not a vision that was something I was trying to get away from. You see, when I got into the rich dad thing, I grew up thinking I was poor. Yeah, because my mom owned a royal blue, navy blue 140Y Datsun. It was dented, the windscreen was bust, the tires were slick. You know, my mates were all getting the brand new rugby boots, and I had to get like secondhand rugby boots from other people. So unconsciously, I didn't know this was happening. Unconsciously, I grew up thinking I was poor. So what most people do is they go about creating a negative vision, which is the opposite of what you don't want. So I spent my whole life, up until I got aware of this, trying to be rich. I went to get rich quick seminars. I went to property seminars, trading seminars, network marketing seminars, internet marketing seminars. It was like my whole life, my vision board was about boats, and there was no people there, no wife, no children, no plants. I hated people, right? Because people got in the way of money. And my obsession was with money. And you see, what we do is we go for the opposite of what we don't want, instead of saying, what would I love? And there's a good chap you should look up, a great video on Vimeo. Do you know Vimeo? It's like YouTube.
Yeah.
Check it out. This guy does a great talk. Neil Gaiman. He's actually straight and married, which is really funny. So he's a very successful author, and he became successful when he wrote stuff that he enjoyed writing. He used to be a journalist, and he used to write because he wanted to make money, and then he started doing stuff that he enjoyed, like cartoons, comics, and film scripts. And he wrote a book called Coraline, which was turned into a movie, right? And he said, you know what? When I wrote stuff just to make money, sometimes I get paid, sometimes I don't get paid. But then when I created what I loved, sometimes I didn't get paid, sometimes I did get paid, but at least I had what I loved at the end. Isn't that amazing? You're here to create what you love, you see? Not because it's going to make you money, because it's your purpose. Here's what I found. When you create what you love, you create opportunity, and people buy into that. I moved back to South Africa in 2000 and 12, through a superconscious technique that I teach people, which is like meditation on steroids, if I can explain it that way. Through a superconscious technique that I teach people, I got intuitively to inspire South Africa. I was like, that's ridiculous. I've got no money, I don't know anyone in South Africa, and my family live in South Africa. Why the hell would I move there? It's ridiculous, right? And so, because I'd been trained in this work for about 4 years, I went, cool, I'm going to go check it out. I'm going to follow my curiosity like you guys have done coming here. And I moved to South Africa, I followed that curiosity, and I went to networking events and I said, hey, I'm here to inspire South Africa. And because that message was true to my heart, no one knew what it meant, but they wandered in. I didn't have a card, I didn't have a logo, I didn't have a website, I didn't have money, I had no idea what I was talking about. I had one sentence. I'm here to inspire South Africa. And because that vibrationally rang true with my soul, people were like, wow, that's interesting. Come and have dinner with me. And I had dinner with a MP in South Africa, the Minister of Home Affairs, gave me all these introductions, and I got to meet Oscar Pistorius before the situation. But then even more, I got to meet really cool people, like Nelson Mandela's family after he passed away. People that I'd seen on TV and gone, wow, those are amazing people, were now on my phone. And so you see, in the same way when J.K. Rowling said, I'm going to stop doing what other people want me to do, and I'm going to do the one thing I really want to do, which is write this book, boom, as soon as she did that, her whole life opened up. And you all have that ability. Every single one of you here has a genius. Every single one of you here has a gift, actually, that you were born with that is your duty to create. It's actually selfish not to live your genius. You were born here with a gift, and to not unleash that gift is selfish. And guess what? You're not going to get anywhere in life without it, and you're not going to enjoy even being successful. You could have the most money in the world, but if you're not living your genius, you're going to be unfulfilled. Go ask an accountant how many suicidal, depressed multimillionaires they know. I'm not saying being a multimillionaire is not a bad thing, right? I like making money. I've got investments and I like making money and it's cool, and I like spending money on really cool stuff and ridiculous things like, £1,000 gold Versace jacket that my girlfriend will never allow me to wear because it has magical powers. So I've worn it once. Now I'll just have a great story about it. So cool, money's cool. But my point is that when you're intuitively aligned in the same way that Steve Jobs talks about, with your purpose, doors open in a way that you can't open doors in any other way. One of my heroes is a chap called Joseph Campbell. Joseph Campbell studied all of mythology, religion, and spirituality. He read books for 5 years during the Great Depression because he couldn't get a job. And he thought, well, if I can't get a job, I may as well learn. So he read books and he found his passion was mythology, spirituality, and religion. And he found that there's one story that we all follow. And actually that story became the foundation of all blockbuster movies. He collaborated with a chap called George Lucas. And they created a film called Star Wars. And the thing was fucking massive because the hero's journey underpinned the plot of that story. Before Joseph Campbell met George Lucas, it was just a film about special effects and spaceships shooting each other. And so Joseph Campbell was like, dude, where's the hero? Where's the challenge? Where's the demons? Where's the mentor? Where's the, where's the woman and the thing? And he was like, you don't need that, I've got special effects. It's a great movie. It would have been a flop, right? But Joseph Campbell knew that we are all on a journey, which is a hero's journey. We're all here in the same way that Neo thought he was a software programmer. He was the one. In the same way that Jesus was hiding out as a carpenter. He was the one, the chosen one. Harry Potter was hiding out as a muggle, but he's a magician. Cinderella was hiding out as the, person cleaning up for the wicked sisters, but she's actually destined to be the princess. And we're all on that journey. We're all hiding out, and it's okay because that's part of the journey. We all grew up from the age of 0 to 4 obsessed with survival. From the age of 0 to 4, you're relying on your parents, aren't you? Anybody know how to cook at the age of 1? You're relying on your parents, right? For sustenance, survival, nurturing. The Mayans, which is an ancient culture, they've got a saying that it's your mother's job to nurture you and it's your father's job to take you to the highest hill. And what that means is, from the age of 0 to 18 months, your obsession is nurturing, which is why your mother nurtures you on the breast or however, right? Symbolically anyway. From 18 months to 4 years, we're now relying on our father to go, how does this world work? How do I survive? What's my role? You know, how do all these things work? And that's why we look at the Lion King movie. In the beginning, they orientate Simba. They go, hey, Simba, this is your kingdom, you see? But now, here's the reality. I don't know about you, but I didn't get 100% nurturing from my mom, and I didn't get 100% attention from my dad. I got like 0.1% attention from my dad. He was in the pub the whole time. So now, my ego grows up, and it says, nobody loves me. I'm not good enough. And my whole obsession comes from resolving tension in my ego. Like when I grew up, right? I grew up in a violent, abusive household, which is not a big deal. But for me, I grew up very fearful. I grew up not trusting people. I grew up being very insecure. Now, I didn't know about this until I learned this work, this intuitive work that I do. And so that meant that I was never in a relationship because you can't trust people. It meant even when I became a successful entrepreneur, I was on my own. I didn't have a company with staff because you can't trust people, right? This is unconscious. Your ego is unconscious, and your ego is programmed to keep you in survival mode. That's it. And it's actually something that is there to serve you because you know what's beautiful about your ego? It's a constant source of tension. You know, you're going out there, you're doing a talk in front of 10 people, or you're writing a book, or you're about to ask the girl out, or whatever it is. You're there getting out your comfort zone, right? Which means getting out of your ego, and we experience resistance. You guys know about resistance? Yeah, you experienced it when I asked you to put your hand up. It's cool, yeah? And then you put your hand up, and guess what? You survived. What? Amazing. Right? You did it again, and you survived the second time. You guys are warriors. You know? Like I'm writing a book at the moment. That's where my resistance is. I'm like, fuck, I'm not good enough to write a book. Who am I? What if no one reads it? You know, oh my gosh, what about the 1-star review that I got? Never mind this 1,000 5 stars I got. I'm like, look at the 1 star. It's like, oh, that's the end of my life. Our egos are unconscious. And what I mean by unconscious is we're not aware of it. And so, just out of interest, we don't know each other, and I appreciate that. Who here is maybe interested in mastering their life and being like amazing? Seriously, like, cool. Well, guess what? Understanding your ego is going to be a lifelong journey. Understanding what your thoughts and feelings are telling you is going to be a daily thing. If you're playing a big game, and when I say big, I don't mean big as in scale, big as in what's most important to you. A big game for you could be looking after your local community. Like my friend runs a little center in a township in South Africa, in Cape Town. Looks after 20 kids. All the parents are serious drug addicts. That for her is a big thing. It's 20 people, but that's a big thing. You know? So when you're playing a big game, you're going beyond your ego, and you're going beyond your survival, you're going to experience resistance on a daily basis. And if you stay within that resistance, you're staying within your ego, which means you're playing a small game, and you're not realizing your full potential. So if you want to truly master your life, and I'm not here to preach, truly, I'm not here to preach. I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm just sharing my experience, and hopefully you'll learn something. But my experience is that when I've played a big game, every day I experience resistance. And I'm like, gosh, do I really want this? And I have to face myself. You know, in mythology, they represent that as the hero slaying the head of the dragon. Do you know that story? Right? The hero goes on the hero's journey. He realizes he's the hero who's going to save the world, and he goes into training like they do in the Matrix. He downloads the information. Harry Potter goes to Hogwarts. You know, every hero in every journey goes into training. Right? And then you face your demons, and you go, ha ha, that's a dragon. I learned how to slay that. Slice! And what happens? Anybody can tell me? Yeah, the dragon's head got chopped off, but what happens after that? The dragon grows 2 heads back. Do you not know that myth? Greek mythology? And the hero's like, where the fuck is that in the workbook? Let me just, hang on. I can't see that in my notes. 2 heads grow back? It's symbolic, you see. The fact that we're all resisting our ego, and when you resist something, it grows. And what that hero is representing is us fighting our comfort zone. And the more you fight your comfort zone, the bigger it's going to get, and the more you're going to listen to it, and the more you're going to think it's true, and the more smaller you're going to play. And so what the trick to do then is to go, cool, I've got tension. I feel scared putting up my hand. I feel scared doing a talk. I feel scared asking that man out. Whatever, I feel scared quitting my job and being an entrepreneur. But that's cool. It's just resistance, no big deal. And the most important question you can ever ask yourself, right, is what would I love in any situation? What would I love? Simple. That's it. You know? My girlfriend and I do this all the time. She was going to come along this evening, and her genius is dancing. She used to work in the corporate world as well. And her genius is dancing. In fact, her genius has fused 3 types of dancing into one dancing, which is dancehall, pole dancing, and hip-hop. And so we have all these young girls coming to our house. We've got a dance studio at our house. All these young girls coming to my house on a regular basis learning to pole dance. It's very frustrating. But you know, you kind of roll with it, and that's the compromise you have to take. See, and she said, you know what? I would like to come along, but actually what I would love to do tonight is rehearse for this audition that I got for tomorrow, because she was in an audition this morning and she got through to the second round. I was like, cool, babe, you would love to do that? I would love to do the talk. And the most empowering question you can always ask yourself is, what would I love? And guess what? It might not, and most often isn't, what other people would love.
Yeah, but then you're going to have the courage to do it.
Of course. Of course. Yeah, of course. I 100% agree. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not, you know, living your genius, people are going to criticize you, your family are going to think you're nuts. You know,
isn't accommodating other people also come into it?
Exactly.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. Think about this, right? When J.K. Rowling got divorced, you can hear about a story on YouTube. She talks about this. When she got divorced, and we'll just finish with the story because I think it's break time, is it, Chris?
Yeah.
Morris. So think about this. She had what she thought she wanted. You know, the white picket fence, the husband, he had a good career, they had the house. Beautiful, amazing, right? That's what she thought she wanted. Boom, they got divorced, and I forget the reason. Now, her whole life, what she thought in her ego was important, collapses. Boom. She's on her own. She's on the dole, 2 up, 2 down house in Glasgow. Can you imagine that, right? With her daughter and a typewriter. And so she asked herself that question, what would I love? And she said, you know what, I hit rock bottom, and I thought the only thing left that I've got besides my beautiful daughter is this big idea. Right, you can watch her talk about this. And she was like, I've lost everything else. I may as well go for the one thing I've always had in my heart to create. And we know what that is, right? Harry Potter. And so in the beginning, her family were like, you know, Joan, whatever her name is, you are so selfish. You've got a daughter that's going to school. You are perfectly capable of getting a job. What's wrong with you writing that stupid book? You're not going to make money from writing a fucking book. What's wrong with you? Right? She wrote that book, and she went to Starbucks, and she wrote that book, and she wrote that book, and she wrote, and it was tough. And they were on the dole, and she felt guilty because her daughter was going to school, and she was on the dole, and blah, 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 blah. Now she's only the richest woman in England. Bitches. So I can tell you, and I appreciate if you haven't experienced this, you have to have a bit of faith, that when you go for what you love, guess what happens? Everyone you love is served along the way. I'll give you a personal story. When I went and created Inspire South Africa, I left here with a perfectly cool career and a job. Yeah? I was earning reasonable money, and I was paying for my dad's rent. Because of his alcoholism, it created Alzheimer's dementia, and I was paying for his rent now for about 4 years. Right? So he's incapable of working, and I was paying for his rent. And I went, cool, I have got, and I knew in my heart this is so true. And I teach techniques on this, so I had a bit of experience, right? I knew that Inspire in South Africa was true for me to do. I didn't know how I was going to do it, and I didn't have the money, and I didn't know anyone that was going to help me. But because it was my genius almost talking to me, if you will, my super consciousness, my higher power, whatever crazy words you want to use, you can use that. My intuition, to be simple. I went, cool, I'm going to go for this. Guess what? I knew I only had 4 months of money left in South Africa. September, October, November, December came, I ran out of money. And I still followed my heart, to use a cliche. I picked my dad up outside of his apartment, and I dropped him off at this place called the Ark, which is outside the airport in Cape Town, in a town, between a township and a gangster area. I dropped him off in a room shared with 36 people, a place called the Ark, right? Once every 2 weeks, someone died of TB. People who left prison and didn't have a family were sent there. I took him to a homeless shelter because I knew that I was following my destiny. Now, do you think people thought I was nuts? Right? Actually, to be honest, no one cared because my dad was such a aggressor that everyone had abandoned him. Right? So my family actually wished he went to this place, to be honest, my mom in particular. Right? But my point is, that created what for me? What do you think that experience created for me that was excruciating? Tension. Bingo. You see? And when you unleash that tension towards your vision, man, I tell you what, shit's going to happen that you could never imagine. I held that tension. I went to networking events. I went to Parliament. I had lunch with a guy there. He opened some doors with me. I met another dude called David, who's now one of my best friends. We launched Inspire South Africa. He invited me to a dinner. I met a guy called Scott. Scott said, hey, I believe you're into property. Why don't you help me launch this property fund? I asked my intuition, is this thing true? And I said, yeah, cool. I made $200,000 in the next 8 months because that's the tension that I had. The level of tension I had was like measurable, $200,000. You know what I mean? That meant I go pick my dad up from the homeless center. I put him in a beautiful care home. I launched this charity called Inspire South Africa. I launched Natural Success, which is the company I run now. And with that money, we've now launched a company where, obviously I moved back to London because of the weather. And now, you know, since launching that company in 2015, last year, January, we've had over 10,000 people come to our different seminars and events. And do you know how I did that? I just said, what would I love? Tension. Did people criticize me along the way? They still do. But fuck it, people criticize us when we don't do what we love anyway, so you might as well just do what you love, you know what I mean? Like when people criticize me, I feel like someone stabbed me. I take it really personally and it hurts. But I say, but you know what? When you're in line with your genius, and I'm going to talk a lot more about that in the second part of this evening. I'm going to do some practical work and I'll answer some questions if that's cool. I wanted to do like an introduction first and then we can be more interactive in the second half. Is that cool? Yeah? Because I'm tired of my voice. When you're in line with your destiny and your purpose, and then you put tension in that, and you don't resolve tension like I used to do with drugs, alcohol, and women, and all this other stuff, and you hold that tension, boom, the elastic band brings your vision into reality, just like it did for J.K. Rowling, just like it did for Walt Disney. I don't know if you know Walt Disney's story. Remortgaged his brother's house to go and create this theme park. I mean, what a stupid idea, right? Disneyland, massive. Sylvester Stallone, he had a vision of being an actor, and they said, dude, you look fucking ugly. What's wrong with you? You're never going to be an actor. Boom, Oscar. Thanks for coming. So when you're in line with your vision and your purpose, and you can learn how to deal with tension, you can literally create what you want, and it serves everyone you love. They might not see it along the journey, but you have to have the faith. And now everyone in J.K. Rowling's family is like, hey, we knew you were going to be successful with that book. Where's my pie? Now, who knows what I'm talking about? Your family are like, we knew you'd be successful. We never once doubted you. What are you talking about? So that's my introduction. That's what it's about. You know, that's what it means to be a genius. We're here to create. I know Chris likes to have a little break now. And then what we're going to do in the second part is I'm going to get you to do a little exercise and a little practical experience of what I've spoken about. And we'll have some time for 1 or 2 more questions. Okay? Is that cool? Yeah. Thanks, everyone. I appreciate your attention. It really means a lot to have your focus and your energy. I really feel honored to share this with you. And let's have a break. Okay? So I think if you want to go to the loo or...
Yeah, 5 minutes.
5 minutes. Okay, cool. Great, great. So thanks, everyone. How did you? I haven't done a 45-minute talk for a really long time. And so let's see what questions you've got. What's your name?
Imran.
Imran, what's your question, mate?
So you said, you know, go for the thing that you love,
yep.
Genius thing.
Yep.
But what if you just don't know what it is? What if you just like a lot of things?
Then you're fucked, basically.
So I should just
I don't actually know. Yeah, no, you're fucked. Yeah, just go home, dude. You're wasting time. We'll see you at the pub, yeah? Look, I don't know what your policy is. I don't know if I can say what I do. And is that all right, Chris? Yeah. No, I don't want to impose or anything. Like to be. Okay, cool. Look, to be real with you, I train people in that.
This is London.
No, I respect people's communities, and it's cool, yeah. And so I train people in that. I was just chatting with a lady now saying that Steven Spielberg just come out with a video interview. It's on Facebook where he says the best thing I ever told my kids was to listen to the whisper. It's like, fuck, what does that mean, right? That's the problem. The one big problem I have with personal development is people tell you things and they don't know how to do it, and they don't tell you how to do it. It's like, you know, be in the now. Like, fuck, how the fuck? Yeah, cool, I want to do that. How do you do that? I've got things going on in my head the whole time. I'm worried about this VAT bill that I've got to pay like 70 grand, you know, next week or whatever. So what I do is I teach people how to connect to the whisper and then follow through on that. Because your genius is actually talking to you all the time. You just don't pay attention to it. Our thoughts and feelings are louder. We're more conditioned by society to listen to our thoughts and feelings. In fact, if anything, if you watch the American elections, they use our thoughts and feelings to manipulate us. You know, Brexit is another good example. So people who are alchemists, people who are genius, learn how to rise above those thoughts and feelings. You feel them, right? We have an expression, thoughts and feelings aren't real. Doesn't mean you don't experience them. It's just your thoughts and feelings aren't a true reflection and indication of what you need to do. Like when I created Inspire South Africa, I didn't sleep. I was anxious, I was scared, I felt guilty for taking my dad to a homeless center. It was excruciating. But I didn't listen to my thoughts and feelings. I used these techniques that I have that transmute that tension, remember I spoke about tension, into something that's useful, not something that makes me want to go out and get wasted all the time. And to be real, is like if we're talking about tension here, as an engineer, who agrees that everything is energy? Can I just see by a show of hands? That's got a common thing, right? It's not like, you know, 20 years ago everyone was like, what? Everything's energy. Now it's pretty common. Well, energy has a frequency and a vibration. And so our thoughts and feelings are low vibration, and your genius, your purpose, your intuition, your imagination, what you love, the vitality and health that we all deserve to have, regardless of where we're at right now, that's high vibration. And so what I actually teach people is to transform that low vibration frequency into a high vibration frequency. And it's from that form of consciousness where you and everything you love will be very obvious to you. To be completely blunt, at the risk of freaking you guys out, I teach people a visioning technique where you will literally see what you want. Literally. Like when I say, oh, my intuition said Inspire South Africa, I use this technique and I got the phrase Inspire South Africa. I was like, oh, it obviously didn't work this time around because that's a ridiculous thing to do. I'll try it again. And I kept using the visioning technique and it kept going, Inspire South Africa, Inspire South Africa. I'm going, fuck, how am I going to do that? I don't even love South Africa. As it turns out I did. Right? And in that process, I even saw that I was living in a 4-bedroom house on the beach with a great, you know, big car. And I was like, how's that going to happen? Boom, 5 months later, I was in the house living rent-free.
It's a bit like manipulating your thoughts.
No, it's not. Look, the definition of manipulating is transforming. So in that sense, yes. Yeah. But what I've found is that people try and get rid of their thoughts and feelings. And I'm saying, no, feel them. Like the hero always wins when they face their demons. So if you read up on Joseph Campbell's story, what happens is people fight their demons. They try and fix their beliefs, change their beliefs. They create affirmations about their beliefs. Like, I used to have an affirmation that I was rich. Well, I wasn't. I was fucking poor. Now think about this. Now I'm going to blow your mind. Who knows what affirmations are, by the way? Okay, I'm going to say something controversial. Who's up for being controversial? Me. Okay, just me. Okay. Let me ask you a question, right? Because this relates to thoughts and feelings. If I had to say to myself, I'm rich, 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 what do I actually believe?
You're not.
That I'm poor.
Yes.
Yeah. So, we haven't spoken about this, but I actually teach work on the subconscious mind. We spoke about that earlier. Your subconscious mind isn't saying, I'm rich. Your subconscious mind is going, oh, he believes he's poor. He believes he's poor. He believes he's poor. And guess what happens? I create situations where I lose 80 grand, which is what happened to me. I created this property investment, blah, blah, blah. I bought 1.3 million pounds worth of property in 6 months with no money, which is like, fuck, amazing, right? And then I'm going, I'm rich, I'm rich, I'm rich. Guess what? Boom, bankruptcy. I didn't go bankrupt. I was like, I was probably more poor than bankrupt. I was so bankrupt, they said, oh, fuck, let's
It's
just...
still affirmation, but the wrong one.
The point, no, it's not.
Well, it's still...
Do you think J.K. Rowling woke up and created affirmations? No, she wrote a fucking book. Steven Spielberg didn't wake up, and I'm not being... I swear because I'm South African, it's not personal. Right, okay. So you see what I'm saying? Powerful people create stuff. Powerless people put the power in the affirmation. Are you telling me that you're not powerful to create something, so you have to have sentences to create it for you? That's not true, right? So what I teach people to do is to use intuition to go, what do I want to create? And then guess what? You have to work hard at it.
What he's saying is, how do you identify what you really love and want to do?
Yes, well, I teach that.
That's what he's trying to say.
I teach that. And if you don't do trainings with me, you can start straight away, right? And so how you can do that is, and dude, I suffered from the same thing. I had no idea what I loved, right? So I had to start small. I went, cool, I love movies. So I started going to the cinema. Now that might not seem like a big deal for you, but I'm a workaholic. To go and sit in a cinema for 3 hours for me was torture. It was, you see, because I grew up trying to win my dad's approval. Okay, it's one of the ego strategies that I have. When I was at school, I did cricket, football, hockey, soccer. Geez, I even think I played netball once. Chess. I was a prefect. I was the captain of the general knowledge quiz team. I was a librarian. I was in the choir. I was a lead actor in a school play. I was a cheerleader. Don't ask. I was the chairman of Teenagers Against Drug Abuse Committee. That went well, right?
You didn't play rugby. That was.
I did play rugby. I did. In fact, I played rugby, and you know who was in my team? A dude who was the first African to be. The only African to be a UFC heavyweight fighter, and I used to have to tackle that motherfucker, right? So I started playing hockey instead. That's why I'm so damaged. But my point is, even though I did really well at school and my teachers gave me good marks and stuff, when I came home, I still felt not good enough. That's ridiculous, don't you think? All these achievements and I felt not good enough. My point is, there are 9 different beliefs that we all have in our ego. No matter how successful I ever became, I would always think I'm not good enough. And so to go to the cinema for me was massive. You know, for me to go and sit at a beautiful restaurant and take time out was massive. And so the more you ask yourself the question, what do I really love? And maybe meditate on that every morning, guess what? Your subconscious mind is going to say to you, you love this. You love comedy, right? So I said, I love comedy. And you know what? I'm going to take 12 months out and do comedy and just see what happens.
Just go for it.
Right? It was the most painful year of my life. I realized how funny I wasn't. Right? You want a fast track lesson on rejection? Go do an open mic night in London. Holy cow, right? And I did that. You couldn't have done it as bad as me, so don't worry about it. 4, 5, 6 nights a week for 12 months, I did stand-up comedy because I thought, you know what? I would love to give it a go. And then after those 12 months, I was like, cool, and I actually did really well. I joke about it. But my point is, if you start asking the question, what do I love? You might not know straight away, but your subconscious mind is going to say, finally you're asking me a really good question, as opposed to saying, why do I feel not good enough? Why do I have to put people first? Why am I striving for perfection? Why am I trying to control everything? Why do I need to know before I create something? And so a good question to ask is, what would I love? Right? The best thing to do is come to a workshop. So, shameless plug. So, cool, great question. Let's give him a big round of applause. Thank you. So, who had another question? Let's see.
Have the same one?
Same question? No, Booyah, you are healed. All right. So, sure. When you look, and you have to have a bit of faith when I say this, but when you are serving the world with your gifts, which is the final stage of the hero's journey that Joseph Campbell talks about, when the hero comes to serve the world with their gifts, everyone benefits. Look at J.K. Rowling. So she was selfish when she wrote that book because she could have gone and got a job and looked after her daughter, right? So I understand that. But how many people has J.K. Rowling served now since writing those books and films and all that kind of stuff? Millions. You see what I mean?
But what happens if she hadn't have been successful?
Who gives a fuck? She was single and living on the dole anyway. So, you know, if you're not creating your genius, you could still be successful and create money, but you're going to be unfulfilled like I was. And so how do you resolve that? Addictions, disease, stress, all that kind of stuff. And so, do you know what? Like, to be completely real, like it's a very short space of time that we have. When I train people, if you put structures in your life that are geared towards creating what you love, you can only be successful. Let me explain structure, because that's a whole new concept. Energy follows the path of least resistance. Again, here comes my engineering degree. So if you put electricity on a wire, it will go down the path of least resistance, right? That's energy. We're energy. Your intuition is energy. And so the mistake people make is they think that their success relies on them. It doesn't. Your success relies on your structures. Let me give an example. Not that you guys have done this, but I've done this. I've had a gym membership now for about 15 years, right? It's coming up to January the 1st again, which is when I'll go back to gym, right? I know none of you have done that. I've done that, right? Do I want to go to gym? Yes. Do I want the health? Yes. Do I start now feeling bad about the fact that I've been paying this fucking membership for 15 years and I've never gone? Yes. So why don't I go? It's structural. You see? A train will only go down the tracks that are in front of it. A river will only flow down the structure that's in front of it. And so what has to change is the structure. Do you know that I went to personal development seminars because of my addiction, to be honest, yeah? I did all sorts of stuff. I learned stuff, I met great people, but guess what? My addiction didn't stop, truly. I stopped for maybe a month or two and I thought, hey, look, 2 months clean, let's celebrate with a gram of Coke and a bottle of Jack, you know? So, it's because the structures in my life didn't change. Luckily for me, and I thank the angels or whoever's looking after me, I was literally on my deathbed, honestly. I was like, I did my NLP master practitioner high on cocaine. It was brilliant, right? I did all my homework, it was great, it was fantastic. Like, it was a great thing. My point is that my structures didn't change. Luckily, someone told me about 12-step fellowships. I don't know if you know what that is, like AA and those types of things. That's a structure. You get a mentor, you go into training, and actually the structure of those fellowships, whether it's Overeaters Anonymous, Gamblers Anonymous, all that kind of stuff, the premise of those groups is it's not about you, it's about helping someone else, which is service. You are here to serve the world with your gifts. That's what I mean. And so guess what? I went to a meeting for the first time in my life, boom, stop drinking, stop doing coke, stop doing drugs, stop everything. Overnight, as if it was a miracle. As if I was actually lying to people that I wasn't an addict. It's like, dude, you did all these seminars, you spent tens of thousands of pounds, you've been doing it, I remember coming out of Charing Cross Hospital, which is in Hammersmith, which is a bit confusing when you're on drugs, right? It's bad enough trying to get there sober, but when it's called Charing Cross Hospital and it's in Hammersmith, you're like, what? Are these people fucking with me? And they said to me, if you do cocaine again, you will die. And I went, fine, I will never do it again, right? Never, ever. They gave me a letter to say, if you do this again, you will die. I went, I understand. I've got Wolff-Parkinson's-White syndrome. I will die, my heart will explode, I get it. 3 days later, I was using that piece of paper from that letter as a note to do a line, right? Because my structure hadn't changed. I wanted it. The motivation was there. The vision board was there. The affirmations were there. All that shit was there. The structure didn't change. And so what is equally important to understanding your intuition and what you love is then to put structures in place to make it happen, because we will resist that with all our might. We want to be in our comfort zone. I want to be in my comfort zone. Do you think I'm looking forward to going to do a talk in front of 300 people on Saturday? No. I'd love to sit home and watch Liverpool fucking play football in the comfort of my own home. I've got money. I enjoy my life. So why am I going to Covent Garden when it's going to probably be pissing down, do a talk in front of people where 12 people will come and tell me how ridiculous I am? Why am I doing that? Do you know why? Because it fulfills me. And I'm serving the world with a gift which is inspiring people to their genius. Your gift might be music, your gift might be parenthood, your gift might be art, your gift might be entrepreneurship. I don't know, you need to figure that out. That's for you to work out. But one of the key things that I teach people is that creating what you want is structural, not personal. Because, hey, if it was up to us, we'd all be sitting home being lazy. Like, let's be honest, you know what I mean? It's cool, like, it's good to acknowledge that. We'd all be creating within the limitations of our comfort zone. We like comfort. It's okay to acknowledge that. So then you need someone who pushes you a bit. That's why I say this community is so important. What Chris is creating is so important. Because the community are going to say to you, guys, what was that thing that you were going to do? It's like, oh yeah, what if I'm going to do it? They go, no, come on, stop being a dick, just go do it. And you're like, okay. You know, truly, I'm not an amazing person. I'm nothing special. I created structures, and my mentor created structures in my life that led me to where I am today.
But you're also going to have perseverance.
That I agree, but do you know what was nice?
You've established your structure.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. You've got to have a desire, absolutely. You know, not everybody recovers in AA and all those kind of things. In fact, a lot of people don't. And so I agree with you. The degree to which you want it is very important, and that's not essential. What's most important is that you have a structure. You know, when I, like, to be real with that, when I first got there, I got lots of people's phone numbers. They said, get people's phone numbers. And these fucking people called me all the time. It's like, oh my God. It's like, oh, you know, just when I was on a Friday night, I was about to go get a gram, some dude, some sober dude who's really annoying, would call me up and go, hey bro, you coming to a meeting? I'm like, oh yeah. You know, drive past the dealer's house, you know, of course I'm going to a meeting, motherfucker, I'll be there. So, you know, so perseverance in the beginning is not essential. If you've got people around you who understand your vision and are there to support you, guess what? They will inspire you along the way, you see? And that's very important. You see, having people in your life. Every hero had accomplices. I don't know the Lord of the Rings story really well, but you know how the hobbits all went to the ring? He didn't go on his own. He had his little buddies like Sam and all those guys, you know. Harry Potter had his buddies. Jesus had 12 of them. 12 is a good number. Apparently you can fit around a really nice table, 12 people. That joke didn't work. So, look, it's not easy. People are going to criticize you. But you know what? What else are you going to do with your life? Do you not want to find out what your gifts are? Do you not want to explore what those gifts are? Do you not want to do that thing? My girlfriend has figured out through the work that I do that she loves dancing, right? She works hard, and you know what? I push her hard. Yeah, she would love to be a world-class dancer, dancing with Beyonce and all that sort of stuff. And she can do it actually if she wants. But do you know what? Maybe she doesn't do it. But has she enjoyed dancing 2 hours every morning in the dance studio we've got at the house? She loves it. She loves it. And so she's going for it, but if it doesn't happen, she's danced. She's not dancing to be successful. She's dancing because she's a dancer. See the difference? Right? But I can tell you something. If you're dancing because you're a dancer and nothing else, the probability of you being successful is really great. Really great. So to give you that example, you know, she's 22 years old. So you think genius can even help an ugly guy like me get a really hot girl. So it's a very powerful thing to learn. So you know, write that down. But you know, the reason why I say that is not to boast or anything, is to give you an idea of the time scale. She stopped dancing when she was 13 at school, basically. So she gave up dancing at 13. At 20 years old, she came to a workshop of mine. At 21, through the visioning technique, she realized she would love dancing. She said, that's ridiculous. I haven't danced for 7 years. I haven't, you know, everyone else is way ahead of me. And luckily, she lived with me. And I said, stop bitching and just go to the fucking Pineapple Studios and dance, because otherwise I'm going to hear this for the rest of your life. She went to Pineapple Studios. Because she's a dancer, she wasn't the best technical dancer, but because she's a dancer and she loved it, no word of a lie, you can cross-reference this, 4 lessons later, like a hip-hop class basically, this dude spotted her and said, hey, who are you? You're really into this, you know? And she was dancing because she loves dancing, not because she wanted to get work. She was just going there and she does a thing and she twerks, which I'm still learning how to do. And this guy came and said, who are you? You're like, you know, you really love your dancing. He goes, yeah. And see, she had learned to communicate her vision directly in the same way that I said, I'm here to inspire South Africa. She said, yeah, I'm here to be a world-class dancer. That's fucking brave. Yeah, but I thought, babe, just if someone asks you, just tell them that. She's like, oh no, I can't say that. It's ridiculous. I haven't done it. Babe, just say it. And then obviously when she comes home, she goes, I knew I should have said that all along. It's like, oh, just never get the credit. So he said, oh, that's cool. Well, you look great and I'd like to sign you. Boom. Signs her for this agency called Love Rudai. He's a chap that has been on Strictly Come Dancing for a little while. He's got a hip-hop studio who provides all the dancers for Beyonce and those guys. Yeah. So, boom, she gets signed. She didn't even do an audition. Right? He's like, yeah, you really like positive and stuff, you know. And he said, funny enough, the biggest mistake dancers make is they try and be technical. The biggest problem they have is their mindset. You can get a beautiful dancer who knows all the moves, but if she's not present with the audience, you may as well get a mannequin dancing with a puppet show. And so because she was present and she loved it, he signed her. 3 months later, she was in the panel auditioning people for the agency. This is probably 5 months ago, right? She's done modeling contracts. She got an opportunity, which she turned down, funny enough, to go to Marrakesh for a 6-month tour of a Beyonce cover show. So, you know, when you're following what you love, doors open up. You meet Mandela. I was very fortunate to, through the Inspire South Africa project, meet Archbishop Desmond Tutu, a chap called Lewis Pugh, who swam in the North Pole. 3 weeks ago, he was in the news because his work has now come to fruition. His vision was to create nature conservation areas in the Arctic and the Antarctic. And so he did his extreme swims. He swam in the North Pole in a Speedo and goggles for 1,000 meters. Don't do that. It's bad enough living in London, right? And so that's a fucking amazing dude, you see? He was like, you know what? He was hiding out. I'm now actually good friends with him. He's hiding out as a maritime lawyer here in London. It was obvious that he loved water. He didn't drive to work. He paddled his canoe up the river with his suit in a backpack, and then he carried his canoe on the high street to the office and park in his parking, because he was director, his fucking canoe, and people couldn't drive past. They're like, Pew, your canoe's in the way. They're like, sorry bro. You know, bleep, bleep, walk away. You see, he loved water. He loved it, and he gave that up, and he didn't have the money, and it cost him over $1 million to go to that expedition on the North Pole, and he made 1,000 phone calls, boom, 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 and 48 hours before they were going to leave, Investec said, take the money, but don't die. Because we're going to film you live on the BBC and CNN. So don't fucking die with an Investec swim cap on, please. He's like, I'll try my best. You know what I'm talking about here. And so, you know, how did I get to meet all these people? I'm literally no one spectacular. It's because my genius went, boom, you hear it Inspire South Africa, and I went, I want that. And I don't want it for any other reason than I want that. And so when you watch this video, Neil Gaiman talks about that. Neil Gaiman on Vimeo. So we've probably got time for 1 or 2 more questions. Yes?
I wonder, is it possible to give us just one technique of the ones you were mentioning?
Sure. Okay, so close. You guys want to learn a technique very quickly?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So close your eyes. If you're sitting next to a South African, hide your jewelry and your wallets. Check you were like, oh, fucking hell. Okay, I'll stand here for your own safety. Yeah. Oh, geez, you guys didn't steal my stuff. You need to take opportunities. So just close your eyes for a moment. And just be aware of any thoughts you may have, any feelings, any, you know, skepticism about how weird this may be. And just pay attention to your thoughts and feelings. You don't need to do anything with them. Just pay attention to it. And so now, I want you to imagine yourself being a young, innocent child. Maybe it's you, maybe it's someone else, maybe 2 weeks old. A young, innocent child, maybe 2 weeks old. Okay? And now, embody what that young, innocent child is like. Feel it, see it, hear it, touch it, smell it. You know, you're that young, innocent child. And the reason why we're asking you to be about 2 weeks old is because it's before you've started creating an ego. You're just pure consciousness now. You're connected to your heart. You're connected to what you love. You haven't had an ego which has clouded your intuition and imagination. And so, at any point in time, you can connect with this young, innocent child, and you can ask it any question. You can ask it, what would I love to create today? You could ask it, what do I want to do in my business? I do this all the time. You can ask it, what do I want to do for Christmas? You can even ask it, what do I love and what's my purpose and what would I love to create in my life? And that's a very quick meditation. You can open up your eyes now. It might not mean anything to you right now, but I promise you, you just practice that technique. It's the first technique. I did it very quickly because of time, but I did it. It's the first technique I teach in my 3-day workshop, is to go into what I call innocence. And innocence is where we're in a state of awe and we have an awareness of everything, and you'll literally be able to see things that were always there, but you were too narrow-minded to, worried about shit that was going on in the day. And you can actually see things that were actually going on. It's what sports people call the zone. And it basically neutralizes your ego. And then guess what? You can actually look at the world in awe, and you can go, wow, London's a beautiful place. The architecture's amazing. These beautiful parks. There's actually people on the tube, and maybe you'll strike a conversation with someone, but that might not always go your way, as I've learned. I'm one of those guys who starts talking to people on the tube. So then what I would say is that takes practice, right? And literally what I do every morning is I meditate for 30 to 60 minutes using that technique, and I go, right, what's important to me, what I love. And sometimes it says something I don't want to know, which is, you know what, take a day off and go for a run. And I'm like, fuck, I've got so much to do. But then, funny enough, when I go for that run, I get the best idea. It's weird how that works. And so if you practice being in innocence, you're much more connected to your heart than your ego.
The intuition. Connected to the intuition.
Intuition, oh, your intuition, your genius, your higher self, whatever you want to call it. It's your true spirit, your purpose. And most importantly, you're starting to put messages in your subconscious mind of a higher vibration than those of a low vibration, which are your thoughts and feelings. Whew! I feel like I've had a microwave workshop here. So, was that useful?
Yes.
It's cool, hey. Do you know, can I tell you something? One of the biggest challenges I have is in relationships, because I grew up in a very volatile household. No one taught me how to behave around women. I do that with my girlfriend, and then that's when we create intimacy and we make the best love, and I come up with the best ideas to go on adventures, and we go on holidays, and when we're on holiday I'm not thinking about work, I'm in innocence. We went to Greece about 4 months ago. I'm really bad at traveling. I hate enjoying myself and taking time off. I love working. I've said that already. And so I do this thing now where I put my phone in the safe and I don't look at it for 7 days, which is amazing. Try that out. It's fucking awesome. Guess what? When you pick up the phone, everyone's saying the same shit on Facebook that they said 7 days earlier. You haven't missed anything. Yeah, it's so important. Digital detox. And so, at breakfast, Danny and I would do that. We'd just go into innocence. And so then I just went, gosh, you know what? I just want to look on Google Maps to see where we are, because I'm not well-traveled. And I went, babe, we're right next to Turkey. That's really cool. And she said, oh, what's the closest place? And I said, Marmaris. And she went, fuck, I've been to Marmaris. It's beautiful. And I was like, cool, let's catch a ferry and go there for the day. Right? That was because of innocence. That small technique I just showed you was that. Do you know what? I went to this place, Marmaris. I don't know if you've ever been there. It's amazing. It was better than where we were in Greece. We didn't actually take any clothes or toiletries or anything. I thought we'd just go there for lunch. We ended up staying there for 2 days. Right? And then when we got to passport control, leaving Turkey, they said, what were you doing here? I said, well, actually, we came for lunch. And then the more I started talking, the more suspicious I looked. I was like, oh my God, they're not going to believe me. I'm going to say it. We were in innocence, so we kept making it up. I was like, fuck, dude, we just loved it here so much, we stayed for 2 days, and that's it. And they go, I think they went, okay, let's get rid of these weirdos. It takes you back to your curiosity, and there's a beautiful film about this called Finding Neverland. Watch it, Finding Neverland, about the dude who wrote Peter Pan. Right? He is 100% in innocence, probably a bit too much, he's a bit weird, but he is all about imagination, and that was the best day we had on our holiday. We went to Marmaris, we went parasailing, we got invited to this bingo thing where they had belly dancing, and they got these 70-year-old men on to do belly dancing. Oh my God, the funniest thing you've ever seen. This is how they were belly dancing. We were hysterics, right? We had the best time. We stayed at a hotel, which I booked on. As soon as we got on the port, I said, babe, let's just stay here for 2 days. It's fucking amazing. It's better than where we were in Greece. Beautiful sandy beaches. And we booked a hotel, which just happened to be right opposite where I was standing by accident. And it was like 100 euros a night for both of us, and everything was free. Now, as a South African, where we experience crime, and they tell you things are free, I go, I can take stuff without going to prison. Is that what you're saying to me? I had to double check. The Waffle House was free. We That's what we ate for 2 days, waffles and ice cream. Now, if that's not heaven, I don't know what is, right? You see, it was magic, all because of innocence. And we let go of our rational mind, and we said, what would we love? And we said, fuck, we'd love to go to Marmaris. And we'd love to eat waffles fucking 6 times a day. Awesome. Very powerful. And so hopefully you've learned something here this evening. Have you learned something? Hopefully I've kept you entertained and I haven't been too boring. And look, whether I see you again or not, it's not the point. But what I really wish for you is for you to follow your heart. And hopefully I've given you some ways and for you to then go about exploring that, because it's the only thing I know that's given me fulfillment, wealth, love, vitality, and health, and literally everything you all deserve. And that's what I wish for every single one of you. So thank you for your time, and I hope to see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you.